Making the headlines tonight, a spokesperson for the U.S. Embassy in Cambodia told EAC News that there is currently a U.S. law enforcement investigation into the shoe-throwing incident at Prime Minister Hun Sen while the Cambodian leader was in Washington, D.C. for the ASEAN-US Special Summit. Prime Minister Hun Sen has recalled the values of peace and urged the people to participate in protecting peace from being lost because it has provided opportunities to develop society, family, and community and has allowed the nation to move forward. And Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega said that his government was not interested in attending the US-hosted Summit of the Americas next month, which some leaders have criticized for reports it may exclude the Central American country, along with Cuba and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's government. This is the Daily Roundup on EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. My name is Dekanin. The spokesperson for the U.S. Embassy in Cambodia, Chad Rodemir, has told EAC News that there is currently a U.S. law enforcement investigation into the 11th of May incident wherein a 75-year-old Cambodian-American man opted through his shoe at Prime Minister Hun Sen while the Cambodian leader was in Washington, D.C. for the ASEAN-US Special Summit. EAC News reporter Dashana Gojin has the story.
In an email response sent to EAC News on Thursday, 19th May, spokesperson Chad Rodemir wrote, "The United States takes the safety and security of all diplomats and visiting dignitaries very seriously." He further added, "Regarding the specific incident on May 11th, there is a U.S. law enforcement investigation into the matter. It will be thorough and in full accordance with U.S. law." The confirmation from the U.S. Embassy comes just days after the Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen asked the United States to comment on whether the shoe-throwing incident in Washington, D.C. could be considered an act of freedom of expression or violence. Addressing a meeting with the Samdech Tekcho Voluntary Youth Association at the OCIC Center in Phnom Penh on Tuesday, 17th May 2022, Prime Minister Hun Sen said, "In all countries, including Cambodia, all opposition groups will be hit in the head with shoes. There are no more rules in the world." According to Title 18, Section 112 of the U.S. Code, special protection is offered to foreign officials, official guests, and internationally protected persons. Whoever assaults, strikes, wounds, imprisons, or offers violence against one of these people can be fined, face imprisonment for up to 3 years, or both. Assault under common law covers not only the attempt to inflict harm, but also placing someone under reasonable apprehension of harm, which may count shoe throwing. If a jury decides that throwing a shoe and missing does not quite rise to the level of assault, they might find the perpetrator guilty of coercing or harassing a foreign official or obstructing the official in the performance of his duties. These lesser offenses carry a sentence of not more than 6 months in prison or a fine.
EAC News is grateful for the U.S. Embassy's prompt response and willingness to engage with us on this matter. We are hopeful that the U.S. law enforcement's thorough investigation will lead to a just outcome. Darshana Gauchen, EAC News, Phnom Penh.
Prime Minister Hun Sen has recalled the values of peace and urged the people to participate in protecting peace from being lost because it has provided opportunities to develop society, family, and community and has allowed the nation to move forward. The Prime Minister raised this reminder on the occasion of the National Day of Remembrance on Friday the 20th of May, a day for every Cambodian to remember what happened during the Democratic Kampuchea regime, also known as the genocidal regime of Pol Pot. EAC News reporter Dashana Gojin has more.
The Prime Minister wrote on his social media page on Friday morning that due to the Khmer Rouge regime, the vast majority of Cambodians know and understand the bitter tragedy that the Cambodian people went through for nearly 3 decades in the flames of war and tears, slaughter, destruction, forced evictions, and forced labor. He added that many Cambodians also died without medicine or food, without freedom or democracy, and without the right to live, which is a fundamental human right. Prime Minister Hun Sen stated, "This day is a memorial to the souls of the more than 3 million victims who died during the genocidal regime of Pol Pot." He further urged the people to participate in maintaining peace so that this regime does not ever return, and so that opportunities can continue to be provided for the development of society, family, community, and the growth of the nation. The Khmer Rouge regime of the Democratic Kampuchea state designated 20th May 1973 as the date of its cooperation and continued the war until it came to power in Phnom Penh in 1975. Remembrance Day, 20th May, is called the Day of Anger. This day was designated by the National Assembly of the People's Republic of Cambodia in 1983 as a day of rage against the Khmer Rouge regime, which persecuted and massacred millions of people in Cambodia. Darshana Gochan, EAC News.
The Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces and the Commander-in-Chief of the Royal Cambodian Army, Lieutenant General Hun Man Nait, has stated that the defense sector is the backbone of national duty and the common cause of the Khmer nation, which includes national defense, religion, king, and the government, who aim to ensure the absolute peace, stability, security, and sustainable development of Cambodian society. On this matter, he said that in order to effectively respond to demands, the defense sector needs to continually be modernized with a clear direction and a long-term vision of independence in regard to leadership, training, and equipment. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
Lieutenant General Hun Manet made a statement at the inauguration ceremony of the Army Tank Command Building and the opening of the 2022 Armoured Tank Training Course in Battambang Province on Thursday, 19th of May. He further expressed his congratulations for the new construction of the new Army headquarters, which was a gift from the Prime Minister Hun Sen, and said that this building can also be considered a new historic achievement in Cambodia, which shows the progressive transformation of Army Tank Command. He added that this continuous growth reflects the attention and the consideration of the Prime Minister to the well-being of soldiers and their families in all units of the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces. Moreover, he said that the Prime Minister provides all levels of support in terms of spirit, budget and resource to facilitate daily work, training, equipment and various facilities, improving the well-being of the Army and Army's families through the construction of camps, shelters, the provision of food and more. Lieutenant General Hun Manet underlined that this because the Prime Minister Hun Sen himself was a soldier who went through most difficulties in the fire of war. He continues in his speech that the inauguration also shows the strong solidarity between the Armoured Tank Command, the General Department of Taxation and Vatinak Group, in achieving tasks that are in line with the Prime Minister's vision of the long-term commitment to establishing close brotherhood between the front and rear battles. This, he said, acts as the foundation of the people's defence and supports the Army's performance in strengthening their entire defence. The Royal Cambodian Armed Forces Deputy Commander-in-Chief expressed his appreciation for efforts of the Army Tank Command in the relaunch in 2022 Armoured Tank Training Course after 2 years postponed due to the spread of COVID-19. He said that his training course responds to the need of strengthening and expanding the professional capacity of soldiers to ensure sustainability in their ability to perform their duties in the future in the long term of the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces and particularly within the Army Tank Command. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Royal Cambodian Armed Forces and Commander-in-Chief of the Army, Lieutenant General Hun Man Nait, recalls hearing the hardships and suffering of the history in which millions of Cambodians were persecuted and killed by the Pol Pot regime. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the story.
However, this darkness was fought by the Cambodian People's Party to liberate the people from its catastrophe, which made happiness and tranquility, peace and development to this day. He said during the inauguration for the official use of the 5 DBST paved roads with a length of 27.97 kilometres in Che Hai Village, Dung Kada Commune, Srang Trang District, Kampong Cham Province on Friday morning, May the 20th of 2022. On the occasion of the inauguration, Hun Manet said that today is the National Day of Remembrance, which is a reminder of the past of the most bitter and painful suffering in the history of mankind, that millions of Cambodian people were subject to brutal persecution and massacre of the Pol Pot regime. He added that the tragedy was the most heartbreaking and unjust death. However, he said it was fortunate that Cambodian people can later walk past the catastrophe and the dark past through the sacrifices of the Cambodian People's Party and continue to live in happily and peacefully, which has always received the support and confidence of the people in the mandates of the last election. He recalled the merits of peace, which has brought prosperity and development to Cambodia to this day, urging all citizens to take part of the safeguarding these achievements, to remain immortal and strive resolutely to prevent a reoccurrence of the war, especially striving for the maintenance of peace and stability for future generations. As a whole, across the country, millions of people have been using and benefiting from the many achievements, including roads, schools, pagodas, health centres and hospitals, which are the result of the work of the Royal Government, he said. The Cambodian People's Party have changed the difficult situation from the past to current comfort. Therefore, we all need to take part in preserving these achievements to be stable, immortal and resolutely determined to prevent the reoccurrence of war, especially the efforts to maintain peace and stability for the next generations. The Khmer Rouge regime of the diplomatic Kampuchea state designated the 20th of May 1973 as the date of its corporation and continued the war until it came until power in Phnom Penh in 1975. After the ruling, the Khmer Rouge used the policy of killing and forcing the people to work hard to completely change the standard of living of the people. Remembrance Day, 20th of May, is called the Day of Anger. This is designated by the National Assembly of the People's Republic of Cambodia in 1983 as a day of rage against the Khmer Rouge regime, which prosecuted and massacred millions of people in Cambodia. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
On Thursday afternoon, Prime Minister Hun Sen sent a message through his social media account to his compatriots in Cambodia about his trip to attend the World Economic Forum annual meeting 2022 under the theme Working Together Restoring Trust at the invitation of Professor Klaus Schwab, the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum. EAC News reporter Darshana Gochin has the details.
Prime Minister Hun Sen said goodbye to his compatriots in Cambodia for a short period of time and also promised to soon meet with his compatriots in Europe. The Prime Minister said, at 1:30 a.m. on May 21, 2022, tomorrow I will lead a Cambodian delegation to attend the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. I would like to thank my compatriots living in European countries who released a video celebrating my trip to Europe. As planned, I will meet our Cambodian compatriots in Zurich, Switzerland on the evening of May 21, 2022. According to the Cambodian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Prime Minister Hun Sen is expected to hold meetings with leaders of other countries, receive courtesy calls from political and business figures, and also meet with Cambodians living in Switzerland and other European countries. During his stay in Switzerland, the Prime Minister will deliver the opening speech of Cambodia Night, an event sponsored by World Bridge Group to promote foreign businesses in Cambodia. Darshana Gochin, EAC News.
Cambodia wins their second gold medal in the Patong event with the women's triples Sreya On, Dina Dung, Sorakim Sreng. Balisu winning gold in the wrestling men's freestyle 125 kg. This now brings Cambodia's medal tally to 6 gold, 9 silver, and 23 bronze with a total of 38 medals. Cambodia's best gold medal result is 8 gold in Naypyidaw, Myanmar in 2013, and our best medal tally is 53 in Kuala Lumpur, 1971. The SEA Games will be held in Cambodia from the 5th to the 16th of May next year. The host country is still on top of the medal tally with a total of 331 medals. Vietnam is still leading the gold medal tally with 154 gold, followed by Thailand 62, Singapore 44, Indonesia 43, Philippines 40, and Malaysia 34, and Cambodia has 6 gold. 3 days to go, Cambodia is still in with a chance to win more medals. Cambodia has reported no new COVID-19 cases for the 13th day straight. There has been 3 new patient recoveries and no new deaths. The total number of Omicron cases in the Kingdom of Cambodia stands at 15,821, with 1,362 imported and 14,459 local community cases. Cambodia's COVID-19 case tally has stalled at 136,262, and the death toll stands at 3,056. The number of patients treated successfully since the pandemic reached Cambodia is 133,201, and the tally for imported cases remains at 21,219.
If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega said on Wednesday, 19th of May, that his government was not interested in attending the U.S.-hosted summit of the Americas next month, which some leaders have criticized for reports it may exclude the Central American country, along with Cuba and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's government. Nicaragua was previously informed that it would be excluded from the summit, which would take place in Los Angeles, according to a person in Washington familiar with the matter. President of Nicaragua, Daniel Ortega, said, "I say from here to the Yankee, forget it. We are not interested in being at that summit. Yes, it's going to be filled with you-know-what. That summit does not identify anyone. It rather dirties them, it sullies them. We Latin Americans must defend ourselves so they respect us. It's shameful the show the Yankee rulers are putting with this famous summit they call Summit of the Americas." Ortega won a fourth consecutive term in November after jailing rivals and cracking down on critical media, triggering international criticism. He has frequently accused the United States of being interventionist and trying to undermine his government. He added in Wednesday's speech that Latin American leaders already meet via the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, comprised of 32 countries. A senior State Department official said in April that Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's government would likely be excluded because the summit is meant to focus on democracy in the region. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has urged all countries to be included and said he might not attend otherwise. On Thursday, he told reporters he expected a response from the U.S. President Joe Biden this week after expressing concern to U.S. Special Advisor Christopher Dodd. Tensions have risen over signals that Cuba, along with Nicaragua and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's government, could be excluded from the U.S.-hosted Summit of the Americas next month, a potential boycott by a growing number of leaders, including Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, has raised the risk of embarrassment for President Joe Biden. The Biden administration on Thursday accused Cuba of fueling controversy over its possible exclusion from the summit to pit itself against the United States and distract attention from its human rights record at home. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Thursday, 19th of May, said Russian forces had completely destroyed the eastern Donbas region and accused Moscow of carrying out senseless bombardments as it intensified its offensive.
In the Donbas, the occupiers are trying to exert even more pressure. It is hell there, and that is not extravagation, he said in the late-night video address. Zelensky said Russian actions in the Donbas region were a deliberate and criminal attempt to kill as many Ukrainians as possible, adding as it constituted as genocide of the Ukrainian people. Since turning away from Ukraine's capital, Russia is using mass artillery and armor to try to capture more territory in Donbas, comprised of Donetsk and Luhansk areas, which Moscow claims on behalf of the separatists. Moscow calls an invasion a special military operation to rid Ukraine of fascists and exaltation of Kiev, and its Western allies say it is baseless pretext for an unprovoked war. Donetsk Regional Police on Thursday, 19th of May, released videos showing emergency services searching for buildings for survivors after an attack in Bakhmut in Donetsk region. Police said 3 buildings had been destroyed but report no deaths. One woman is seen in the video being helped away from the damaged building. Reuters was not unable to verify the date and location of the footage. Russia is still pressing the main offensive using massive artillery and armour, trying to capture more territory in the eastern Donbas, compromising the Donetsk and the Luhansk regions, with Moscow claims on behalf of the pro-Russian separatists. A total of 1,730 fighters have surrendered since Monday. Russian Defence Minister spokesman Konstantin Konklov said adding to 80 of those were wounded and those requiring medical attention were being treated in hospital. Those who are fit and have been taken to a penal colony and have been treated well, as said Denis Pushin, head of the breakaway Donetsk People's Republic. Some Ukrainians returned to their way to the torn homes as 100 days of conflict approaches. Whole families have spent their days in basements. No one knew how long the occupation or their village would last. The group of 7 rich nations also agreed to provide Ukraine with $18.4 billion. Ukraine said that the money would speed up victory over Russia and was important as the weapons you provide. President Joe Biden's administration authorised $100 million of additional military aid to Ukraine. When will this war end?
Sri Lankan police fired tear gas and water cannon on Thursday, May 19, to push back student protesters who marched through the street of Colombo, demanding the arrest and removal of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Hundreds of fluents carrying black flags marched Colombo's central fort area, chanting slogans against the government. Police fired repeated rounds of tear gas and water cannon to push them back.
Sri Lankan government, they're killing the young people. This is right or wrong. They are terrorists. Gotabaya is terrorist. Rajapaksa is terrorist. We don't need like this leaders. We kill up. We don't give up these people. We want to be throw out this Rajapaksa family and the 225 leaders in Sri Lanka out of Sri Lanka. They are thieves. They are the terrorists in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka's economic crisis has come from the confluence of COVID-19 pandemic battering the tourism-reliant economy, rising oil prices, running out of medicines, foreign reserves, and populist tax cuts by the government of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and his brother Mahinda, who resigned as Prime Minister last week. Other factors have included heavily subsidized domestic prices of fuel and a decision to ban the import of chemical fertilizers, which devastated the agricultural sector. Sri Lanka's central bank has secured foreign exchange to pay for fuel and cooking gas shipments that will ease crippling shortages, its governor said on Thursday, while police fired tear gas and water cannon to push back student protesters. Most of Sri Lanka's petrol stations have run dry as the island nation battles its most devastating economic crisis since independence in 1948. Inflation hit 29.8% in April, with food prices up 46.6% year-on-year. Sri Lanka is also officially now in default on its sovereign debt as a so-called grace period to make some already overdue bond interest payments expired on Wednesday. The G7 economic powers support efforts to provide debt relief for Sri Lanka, G7 finance chief said on Thursday in a draft communique from a meeting in Germany after the country defaulted on its sovereign debt. Now let's have a look at the weather and what you can expect for tomorrow. And finally, learning more about Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky just got a little easier with the release of the tidal wave comics biographical comic book Political Power Volodymyr Zelensky. A portion of the comic book released on the 18th of May will be donated to the International Red Cross in honor of the crisis in Ukraine. The 22-page glossy tells the story of how Volodymyr Zelensky swept to power 3 years ago, promising to end a war with Moscow-backed separatists in eastern Ukraine, and how he now faces a Russian invasion that could result in the overthrow of his government and the end of Ukrainian democracy. Zelensky, best known for playing a fictitious president in a TV show, had no political experience when he took office as the country's sixth president. The US-based publisher Darren G. Davis said in a statement, "This book means a lot to me because of my Ukrainian heritage. Both sets of my grandparents immigrated from Ukraine. I wanted to use this medium to not only tell a story, but to somehow donate to the cause at the same time," said publisher Darren G. Davis. Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on EAC News Channel. For more breaking news and updates, check our website eacnews.asia or search EAC News on Smart TV, Telegram, or at your favorite app store. More from the EAC News team tomorrow night at 8 p.m. and see you then.